how are you supposed to be a good fit father if I'm living in my car, I have no running water or anything else like that, and I'm supposed to go pick my kid up? Or now, because I'm homeless, now you got me on, those visits where supervised visits where I gotta pay somebody to go see my own child.
All right, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of Daddy Issues. Today we got on Dave. I'm going to have him introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his story.
How you guys doing, man? My name is Dave. I'm a father that has gone through the court system, and I have, because of me going through the court system, it's caused me to do a lot of studying and do a lot of research on why these judges in these courts are making the orders that they're making. So I've been studying this for about maybe like 6 years now. So it's I can tell you right here and now, it's a lot of children and families that are being hurt by these states and the orders that they put out that have no substantial evidence to prove any of what's going on. So that's kind of like where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's the hard part too, is like the court and the GAL and the mediator and the attorneys and everybody sit there and say, it's all about the kids. We want everyone to have a good relationship. We want everyone to get along. But yet the court system kind of rips dads away from the family, and it's like it doesn't help anyone.
No. I wanted to kind of redo something because you're in New Hampshire, correct?
Yeah.
So this is actually from your state. So it says, so like if like a mom or whatever parent would go down to get like the child support services, and it states in there, it says BCSS, Child Support Officer and Attorney Responsibility. The BCSS attorney or child support worker assigned to your case represents the New Hampshire Department of Health and Human Services and does not represent you or your children. Right? So it states that.
Yeah, make that make sense.
Like in the application. So when they say the best interest of the child, they're misleading you because clearly on the application, and then when we go and we look at Blessing versus Freestone, it goes into a rise that I have this on here right now. Justice O'Connor, before she passed away, stated that IVD was never intended to benefit the child, the mother, or the father. It was intended to benefit the state to recoup funds that were spent out or allocated out. This is kind of paraphrasing it a little bit, because what it was when they did the congressional intent back in 1975, it was for two different classes of people. And those classes of people were the at-risk and the risk. So what, risk would mean that they're on welfare, right? And then the at-risk is the possibility of them possibly being on the state. But that's a presumption.
Right.
It's a presumption. And the states get, a substantial amount of money. If someone were to go and read the Social Security Act in depth, and they'll see that they get anywhere between, I think it's like $12,000 to $1.2 million. And this is something that's quarterly and has no cap on it. So they get these block grants and things of that nature. There's actually on the child support enforcement website, the federal one, like last year, I think it was like 2024, between all of the 50 states, it was like $713 million that was paid out in federal incentives.
Jesus. And this is something that was incentivized in 75, you said?
Yeah, this has been something that has been going on for quite some time. And what they were doing was because they were going off the presumption that the dad had left, mom couldn't work, kids were stuck with the mom. You know what I mean? And so when someone looks at a situation like this, they have to really go and look at the numbers. If you were to look at all 50 states, you have a less than 19% chance of actually getting any type of 50-50 custody for a father. So, but then when you also look at the numbers, you see that men are the higher earners. So then when you look at the numbers for the census as well, and also for child support, who pays, it's men. So when you look at it from the standpoint as the state's looking at it from this, how do I make the most amount of money and get the most amount of money? Well, the men are the higher earners, and they're the ones who pay the most, and they can pay consistently. So we're going to put men on this in this program, not disclosing the terms and agreements, not providing them safeguards, and we're just going to just recoup all this money that we were never even paid out anyway. There's actually an article that's going to actually kind of blow your mind. It's craziness. And it was actually produced by Congressional Research Service. This was July 19th of last year. Now, what they said within this situation was Tanner families, 0.6 billion, so it's 2%. Former Tanner families, 7.6%, 7.6 billion in collection, 28%. Now here's the kicker. Never on Tanner, 19.2 billion, 70%. So with that being said, and this information is published, this is a group of people that it was never intended for. So they're already outside of the scope anyway, because they're having 70% of the revenue come from people who would never even be on it anyway.
Yeah, and this is great that because and that's what sucks too is like you as an individual have to go and look all of this stuff up. Your attorney doesn't know. Your attorney's not saying anything. The court's not going to say anything. But they're literally telling you the lie out front. Like they're telling you right up front, like in that post. And it's just it sucks that it takes somebody to have to because I didn't know half of this stuff, and I bet there's a lot of dads that don't know half of this stuff. And 6 years of research, you know what I mean? Like 6 years of doing this. That's a lot of time. Definitely a lot of time.
Um, it's a group that I'm in, and a lot of us put a lot of information out. We do a lot of research, and you can just go into the whole situation. I went and looked up your state, and I found this. So when they go into this whole situation of calling you a non-custodial parent, what that means in legalese is absent. And so when they use this is all presumption for the most part, they take that application as you have abandoned your child. And so in New Hampshire, it reads New Hampshire Revised Statute annotated subsection 639 semicolon 3. Now this is back in 2014. I'm not too sure if they probably updated it, but it says endangering welfare of a child or incompetent. Title I, a person is guilty of endangering the welfare of a child or incompetent if he is knowingly endangers the welfare of a child under 18 years of age or an incompetent person by purposely violating a duty of care, protection, or support he owes to such child or incompetent, or by inducing such child or incompetent into engage in conduct that endangers his health or safety. So they're charging a lot of quote unquote fathers for the most part with the statute that they would have to do a criminal situation for. Because in your state, it says a person who endangers the welfare of a child or incompetent by violating paragraph 3 of this section is guilty of a Class B felony.
Felony. Jesus.
So they're trying you in a civil setting for criminal action, even though they know that to annul your rights, they would have to go to a different type of standard using Troxel versus Granville, because they're saying that you violated duty of care, and they're using quote unquote public policy to say that, hey, listen, he didn't do something or she didn't do something. This is why we're forcing you to do something. And it has in their own code is supposed to provide safeguards, which they never do. They force you into a system that they don't give you any terms or conditions of, that any person of reasonable body and mind and soul would never agree to. And then in the application, they clearly state that their only interest is the Department of State of Health and Human Services. So if the Department of Health and Human Services, that's their only interest, they don't care about the child and anybody, which is what they're stating anyway, then their only interest is pecuniary, which is money, all monetary.
Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of Daddy Issues. If you guys could help support the podcast over on patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth, it would mean a lot. We got a lot more content over there. We have Q&As. If you have questions for an attorney and you don't want to go through your attorney, we will try to get those answered for you, so you're not paying, a couple $100 for your attorney to get a quick answer on a question you have. You can even jump on the podcast if you want to share your story. So head on over patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. And thank you guys. All right, back to the episode. Yeah, so I love this because no one's ever broken it down like that. So you're making it very clear to understand too what's going on.
And a lot of attorneys won't do this because they sign contracts or agreements with the courthouse. So they're supposed to promote this product that the state has provided. They're not going to do a summary judgment. They're not going to file a motion to dismiss. They're not going to file a libel, slander, or defamation character tort or lawsuit against the other party or file a counterclaim. They're not willing to do any of those things in your favor or file an affirmative defense stating that, you took care of your child, you never abandoned it, you always provided private maintenance. No, their whole situation is modification or how much can you pay? Bottom line. That's just because I saw that video with that attorney and I was like, oh man, he out here not even giving the facts. And I was just like, man, this is the thing. Every state has some type of state statute or code or whatever the case may be for child support. And it hinges on that you did something wrong. So they're charging you like you have like a traffic ticket. But you don't have any evidence. You don't have nothing besides possibly the application, which is this presumptive, which is just an assignment. There's no affidavit. There's no sworn witness. There's no nothing that would ever hold up in the criminal aspect that you violated something like this. And they're aware of that, and they don't care.
Right. Damn. What happened with your situation? I mean, have you been going through this for 6 years or more than 6 years?
Listen, I've been going through it for a long time. In a situation where it was so bad in a different state, I was completely alienated from my daughter. Like, we don't even have a relationship or anything. I went to jail over this situation. It's like, you know what I mean? And then what they do is they will suspend your license. Now, there was a case out in New Jersey, Havidas versus DMV, where they don't suspend license anymore because they found that it violated the 14th Amendment of due process. They're supposed to give you notice. They're supposed to have a hearing of your ability to pay, supposed to provide you with counsel, and they don't. Most of these states do not even do that. You will be behind a certain amount. You may or may not even get a notice in the mail about your license being suspended, and you get pulled over by the cops, and your license suspended, and you're going to jail.
Dude, that's literally it happened to me. The cop ended up letting me go. He didn't put me in jail, but I lost my license for a little bit.
Yeah, and then you have to go down to the DMV to like, hey, I got to pay you X amount of dollars to get a restricted license. So now you're inhibiting my ability to be able to earn. If I'm a CDL driver or whatever case may be, I can only drive to Wegmans and back or work and back and doctor's appointments and back. And when you think about it, how is it not peonage? And that's a nice way of saying it's a slavery, because you can't have a bank account, you can't leave the country, like
without your license
yeah. If you go and you earn more money, then they're going to do a COLA to get more money, and then the custodial parent, which is most of the time the mom, has the ability to possibly throw you in jail. Like, if that doesn't sound like slave master in the plantation, I don't know what it is.
Right. But you don't see it, or I've never seen it on the woman's side. I've only seen it on the father's side. I know there's women out there that pay child support, but if they don't pay child support, I've never actually seen a woman get in trouble for not paying child support.
No. The probability of that is low because most women are getting the children and getting the benefits of being there. And the biggest thing is when you look at this quote unquote agreement that goes on, this order, it's unconscionable because there's no benefit to the non-custodial parent, right? So they're taking your private funds and they're making an egregious amount on the back end. So when they send that $500, there's 66% that they're being allocated on the back end per every dollar for recoupment, so for expenditures. So they're getting this money back. Then they're getting more incentives, all types of bonuses. And then when the mom goes on there or whatever to sign up for this program, they're not even being informed that, number one, we don't even care about your interests. Number two, we only are supposed to give you the first $50 or $500 of the money. We don't even have to give you anything.
Wow.
Dude, so when you look at the Blessing versus Freestone case, and these Arizona mothers or whatever, and they sued or whatever for this money, they lost because there was no entitlement. So the state, whatever was in the arrearages, they kept every last cent.
The state did. The state kept it? Yeah. Wow.
They kept every last cent. So it's like they're not disclosing pertinent information to the custodial parent, which is most of the time a mom. And then when you read the Social Security Act and they talk about a non-custodial parent is in compliance with the terms and conditions, what are they? Because at the end of the day, if there's some type of agreement that I'm supposed to know about, well, why wouldn't I disclose the terms and conditions? Because who in their right mind would just be like, you know what, sign me up.
Right.
Like, who in their right mind is just like, I would love to have someone tell me what I'm supposed to pay to child support for my own child.
Yeah.
Like, none of it just doesn't make any sense.
And then to still be paying child support as well when you have 50-50 custody of your kids. I mean, some parents have full custody of their kids and they're still paying child support. So, like, that's where it really starts getting frustrating. It's like, I have my kid full time and you're still taking money from me? It just makes zero sense. Because at the end of the day, most men don't know the procedures of what they would have to do, and they just think this is the norm. Like, this is just how it's supposed to be. And it's like, no, this is not how it's supposed to be. Troxer versus Granville clearly states that, you have a duty of care. You're supposed to have this, and Troxer versus Granville is like, you have a interest in the duty of care and support and everything of your child. That supersedes any type of pecuniary interest that the state may have. And so when you look at the duty of care, and this is how I look at it from a situation. If I own a car and I have to care for the car, I have to spend money for the car. So when you're talking about a child, in order to put food on the table, clothes on the back, it costs money. So why would I put in control of or sign myself up for a program to tell me what I'm supposed to do when I've already done it? And you haven't proven that I've done anything. And then you're locking me up and putting me in jail, so now I don't have any job. I can't do anything. Now, how hard is that to bring in front of a court and fight that?
You would have to file a lawsuit, because at the end of the day, you would probably have to do like a disqualification of the judge, a motion to dismiss,
But then you'd be
affirmative.
suing the state, right?
You, depending on what the state is. So a lot of the states, besides from Texas, Texas is the top earner when it comes to collection of child support. A lot of every other state, there's individuals who oversee the county agency for whatever it is. You sue that person.
Mm.
You go after that person because that person oversees the daily activities of that specific enforcement unit. So if they suspended your license and they never gave you all that stuff, which they never did, that's a lawsuit. That's a lawsuit right off the rip. We not talking about it. That's it.
Yeah.
Because they're not going. They most like so like in New York. So New York is next to New Jersey. I'm in New York. New York knew about the license situation back in, I think it was like 2018, but they knew about it because when the case came out, New York responded and said, "Well, we're gonna look at it, but we're not really gonna change anything." So, like, what is that? Like, that's crazy. You knew that this was a problem, but you're like, I don't care. Because they make money off of suspending people's licenses and not following procedure and not giving you any type of safeguards.
And 99% of those people aren't going to they're not gonna, they'll be pissed, but they're going to pay it, they're going to do whatever, and it is what it is. They're not going to go after the state and try to sue that person or anything.
Listen, because I've done research. There is very few groups or programs for men when it comes to this situation. Very few. If I was pregnant, if I was a woman and I was pregnant, I could go out here and get Plan B, everything.
Yep.
Good to go.
And the state pays for it all.
Yeah. I'm good to go. I'm chilling. But I'm a man. I'm on child support. I done heard about dudes being homeless, sleeping in their car.
Yep. I've had a couple of those people on the podcast.
So it's just like, you can't sit there and tell me this is the best interest of anybody besides from the state. How are you supposed to be a good fit father if I'm living in my car, have no running water or anything else like that, and I'm supposed to go pick my kid up? Or now, because I'm homeless, now you got me on, those visits where supervised visits, where I got to pay somebody to go see my own child. Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And most of the time, these women will go in these courts and be like, oh, he hit me. Oh, he did this. He did that. Make these allegations in the court. It's like, oh, this is great news, Steve. Let's go ahead and run this child support to the roof. Well, you brought your financial statements in? Oh, great. We're going to give you 8 hours a week visitation. And you got to think about it like this. There's only one other class of people that gets visitation. These are inmates. So you're already giving me the negative connotation because you already annulled my rights and I have visitation rights.
Yeah.
I don't have any conservative rights.
And then some of them have to pay to see they got to pay the person to be there.
Listen, I got to pay for a car I can't even drive. Where that makes sense?
Yeah.
I'm so confused. Like, what? Like, you are a part of my DNA is running through you. And I got to pay to come see you. And the only thing you have when there's allegations that haven't been proven, that if you were to go to a criminal side where you actually had to go through a due process and provide evidence, it wouldn't hold up. It wouldn't hold up. But trying to get an attorney to file a civil suit against the other party to show that there's an appearance of impropriety or that the claims was false, good luck. You ain't never gonna find it.
Did you go pro se with your stuff, or did you have an attorney?
In the beginning,
Yeah.
I had, and so this is a part for a lot of men who have been divorced, like I am. And so they will use that, and you can go on the child support enforcement, website and look it up on the federal side. They use that divorce decree as a private agreement. Because if you look at any proposed orders that was in there, it'll say we give you consideration or whatever. These are contractual phrases. That's what they use it for. When you're in a divorce, most of the time, that's how it is. It's some type of contractual agreement. When you're not, and you weren't with her, and they force you into a program that you would never, and they still would have to give you some terms and conditions of the program, but they never do. They never do. It's the only program in the world that someone else can sign you up for it.
Right.
Like, what? They give the private information and just be, I'm going to give out Steve's social, his house. What?
Wow.
Let me go do that for a car. I'm going to be in the back of somebody's squad car real fast. It's like, what? How does that make any sense? But the state is like, well, we're going to make money off of this. Because if you go down there, and this is the thing, if you try to go get food stamps, they want all your financial information. You got to sign an affidavit within that application that you affirm that you know what's going on and that you're not lying under penalty of perjury. But when the state want to steal some money from you, we about to violate everything. We don't even care. We about to do whatever we want to do to get this money up out of you. And that's it, like, bottom line. Like, and they say it so clearly, but most people, specifically when it comes to women going on, they don't read that stuff.
Right, they don't read it, and you have to be very careful with the wording that's being used as well. You gotta understand it.
A lot of people don't understand that stuff. When you talk about like legalese and the and this and person and the comma being over here, it has so different many meanings, and you would have to invoke like the ADA to get someone to help you. I don't really understand this type of stuff, but a lot of men who are going through this don't understand that the court's supposed to liberally construe your documents anyway. Because you're not an attorney, you're not held to the same standard as it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, when you're talking about trying to get rid of it or get them out of there, motion to dismiss, affirmative defenses, no evidence, summary judgments. I tell you one thing: you go in there and file a summary judgment, they gonna look at you like whoa, who is this dude? Because they don't know what to do with that. You know what I mean? Like, or a written mandate. You know what I'm saying? Like to let them know that they violated something. If they suspended your license, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna send them a written mandamus. And you're supposed to send it 3 different times. So what you would do is you would send it to the agency first. So now you're trying to handle it in the private manner. Then you send it to the courts a second. And then the third time it goes to the Supreme Court. It bypasses everything. It goes right to the tippy top. They're like, wait a minute. Hold up now. Now, when you talk about family court, they have something called like a homegrown rule where they're supposed to be using constitutional provisions, right? This is where they could supposedly get that power from, but they don't. They could kill us. They could kill us. They all got private agreements in the back end to perform for the child support agency, and they're just making money for the state. They're just like, we don't get this money. We don't care how this thing plays out. And when you look at, the funny thing is, they tie the child support and the custody together. You gotta go look at, the feds will tell you everything. The federal government with child support will tell you that they calculate the amount of overnights that you have. So those quote unquote judges are incentivized to give you less custody. Because the less you have, the more money you got to pay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, you mean to tell me that the judge in the case, which is most of the time when you go to child support, it's an attorney who works for the agency. That's who they are. They can wear a robe and fool you all you want to, but that's who they are. The attorney representing the agency is there. So both of these two people are like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then after this, we're gonna get lunch. Okay, cool. We'll get some lunch after this. We're gonna railroad him real fast and do this lunch. You're never gonna get a fair hearing because both of those people are being incentivized to keep you there. They're not trying to get rid of nothing. They're like, we gotta have X amount of children for this block grant. So, Steve, you ain't going nowhere. We don't care how you want to slice it or whatever case may be. We don't care. And then it's like my brother Ron, very knowledgeable person. A lot of information me and him go back and forth with, and they'll say, public policy, right? That you have a moral obligation to uphold. That's fine.
But it's just a policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, public policy invokes the Constitution. And so this is what they'll use. A lot of people aren't privy to this information, don't research, but this is what they may come out with and say, hey, what's public policy? You're supposed to care kid. Show me within public policy or your law that I have to pay it through Title IVD services. Because there's no benefit to me at all. I went through, and this is funny. I went down to the agency one day, and I was talking to the lady, and I was asking her, I was like, man, I don't want to stay in this. I'm playing stupid, but I'm very knowledgeable. And I'm like, I know this lady doesn't know her job at all. Period. A lot of the people are down there, and I'll be honest with you, when the federal government sends out the information and the state gets it, they dilute it. So a lot of people don't even understand. They don't even know. So I asked the lady, I was like, well, ma'am, when it comes to being a non-custodial parent, what type of benefit do I get for this program? And this lady looked at me dead in the face and said, accounting. And I was like, what? I can use Cash App. It's my own bank. And if I ain't got the money, I ain't going to jail. Ain't nobody coming for me. But with y'all, I'm getting letters in the mail, tax offset, passport, this. Every time I turn around, y'all threatening me. Why would I want to be in a stressful situation to where I'm not in a light-free careness like the mom is, just care for the child, or using the system to hurt the father who hasn't been proven unfit, who hasn't been proven that he was absent or nothing, and now I got this whole system on my back.
Dude, this has to be one of the best episodes where somebody actually broke down very clearly everything that's going on, especially with child support.
Bro, it is the biggest farce anyone has ever seen. And the reason why it hasn't really changed is because, number one, women are the biggest consumers, right? And when they stand behind something, it moves. But they ain't standing behind this because it gives them control. You know what I mean? There's no incentive for them to try to work it out with the dad, but there's incentive on the other end to say, if I go down here and get these services, I'm going to be able to extract funds from him and make it difficult for him and for my child. But they don't think about the child part because they don't understand the damage that's being caused. Forget about a lot of us fathers and our constitutional inalienable rights, but the child has rights to be able to have both parents. And we're talking about, I believe it's the Second Amendment, the right to intimate association. I'm not even allowed to do that. The child is being deprived of that. And there's mad articles that talk about a child being deprived of a father and what he brings to the table and how it's child abuse. But women don't want to get into that. They just want to be like, well, he owed me $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
I got to pay you $1,500, take care of my own household, still buy shoes, still do activities, still buy food. And if I go when I earn more, You taking me back.
And that's exactly it. It gives no incentive for the man. We were just talking about this the other day, but it gives no incentive for the man to try to do better in his life because why? They're just going to take more. You're going to bust your ass. They're just going to take more from you. Yeah.
Dude, they be trying to. And the funny thing about it is, when we pay taxes, we're already paying them.
Right. Yeah. And that's what's crazy too. They're taking your income, your net pay or whatever, not even with taxes taken out or anything. So, yeah.
They will. You're paying the state 30% in tax out of your paycheck anyway. So now whatever's left over, if I'm in the rears, you can take up to 50% of my pay. Like, what? I went from being able to have a little cheese on my burger to now, and I gotta,
Yeah.
and I gotta eat half today and the other half tomorrow because I ain't got no money. Like, my kid come over, we gotta go to Burger King. I'm getting one cheeseburger, and they eat the whole thing, and I'm drinking the free water that I asked for. Like, that's like it doesn't make any sense. And you see the amount of money that they make, that they collect off of it. They never disclose how much they make. That's one thing. You gotta go search for that. And then you look at the amount of money that they spend out for reunification. It's like $1 versus a million. So they're already letting you know that we only care about the money. We don't care about how the family structure is, because if the family structure was solid, it'd be a whole different situation. A lot of stuff that's going on now is because the family structure isn't where it should be. And it's because of a lot of the state being involved in your day-to-day activity, and they don't care about that. They don't care about your family. They don't care. If people read the Constitution, I have the right to be free. Who said I want to deal with you? If I want to wake up and I want to go in there, maybe some grits, eggs, and bacon, I'm going there, maybe some grits, eggs, and bacon. If I want to go to Walmart instead of Wegmans, I have that choice. But what you're telling me is, I have to deal with you. I have to pay it through here. There's no other way for me to do it. That's what you're presuming to say to me. And that's slavery, because it's all based off of performance. If someone were to go and look at that, if I don't pay something, you're coming for me. Like, to hold me in jail, to restrict, like all types of restrictions. There's no other program in the world that moves like that. Nothing. Like, it's not even supposed to be in your credit, but it's on your credit. Do
you think it will ever change?
Until people start suing or filing false claims acts, because it's fraud against the government. Because at the end of the day, they're not following any procedures that they even have. They're not following it. Like, there's actually.
And did you kind of just like what happened in your situation? You got pushed into just being so knowledgeable about all of this?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was because you get it's funny because like I kind of like a lot of people don't know if they go on YouTube like Rick W. And there's a lot of information. I mean, he was like almost like Rick W. and this guy named Amos. They were like the starting point for me. When I started realizing like what's wrong with this situation, I was like, wait a minute, hold up, wait up. How y'all suing me? And y'all ain't got no evidence. Y'all in here like, I mean, taking me to the hotel and not leaving no money on the nightstand type of thing. Like, y'all just doing me crazy. And I was like, wait a minute. And so I started doing a lot of research. And this is one of the things I came across that is really, really crazy. And it's subsection 303.2. It's establishment of cases and maintenance of case records. And it's in the states in here. So where are you at? I think it's like B. There we go. It's subsection B. It says for all cases referred to the IVD agency for or applying for services under 302.33 of this chapter, the IVD agency must, within no more than 20 calendar days of receipt of referral of a case or filing of an application for services under subsection 302.33, open a case by establishing a case record and based on an assessment of the case to determine necessary action. What in the flying frick toast assessment are you doing? Because there's no evidence. What people don't understand is all this stuff. When they're supposed to serve you, they don't serve you. Mad different states got sewer service, and they be like, "Oh, I served you." And they done put the thing on someone else's house to serve someone else who was, you black. He served somebody white, Puerto Rican, or something like that, and he got you in there, and they taking your money, or they send you the stuff to the mail. You don't even live there no more. And all of a sudden, you look at your check and you getting clapped. You're like, whoa, hold up. What's going on here? HR calling you to the office, and you're like, well, I went from $1,000 to $72. What's going on?
Yep.
They're like, well, we got this ordering, we got this income withholding order in the mail, and so we had to, just they getting paid. That's the crazy. Like the job is getting paid, and everybody is in on the shakedown. Everybody's on the shakedown. You have an easier chance of overturning a conviction than getting out of this.
Right.
Like what? And you look at it, it's because it's so much money in it. I mean, billions of dollars. Like there's so much money. You go in there and you're filing a motion. That's costing you money. Now you gotta take time out of work to do that. That's costing you money. The judge is just like, I'm getting money all the way across the board because now he got to hire an attorney. That attorney, I know him because I see him at the coffee shop or whatever. He charging $3,000 for a retainer. The opposing attorney with the mom or whatever case it be, ain't $3,000. Everybody getting money except the child and the parents.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
$250 for an email.
Yeah. Like a 10-minute phone call.
Yeah, we gonna charge you $275 or for a consultation. It's I don't even make $375 an hour. I'm not paying you that.
Yeah,
like, what?
Yeah, that stuff's wild.
You take out mortgages to pay these attorneys, and the thing about it is, a lot of people don't understand if it's within their scope or their regular realm of business. They don't even have to do anything that you want them to do. They don't have to do anything. You think because you pay more that you're about to get better results. And that's so far from the truth. I know a guy who spent like $1.2 million in attorney fees and still didn't get 50-50.
Right.
Like, what? Bruh, I could have got that for you.
Yeah. Give me half of that.
Yeah, listen. I bet some good mattress money. Like, what?
That's wild. Oh my God.
It's just, it is so crazy how, and then a lot of people who are on the internet, but oh man, I can help you get rid of this case, and they be talking with all this craziness. I'm like, listen, the biggest thing you have to be to combat this situation is the claim that they're claiming, or the stuff that they're claiming you did, the presumptions that they have of you, you did not do. Your affirmative defense should be right out there on the whip, and you should be suing. Because as long as you in their backyard, they don't care. Because that check is still coming.
So what would you say, like, for dads out there? I mean, I would think, education would probably be the number one thing to tell dads going through something like this. But if you had to say something, what would it be to give some advice to dads?
I would tell a lot of dads to do a lot of research on your state rules and your laws and your statutes and understand the processes of court, because there's a lot of errors that these courts make. And you have to be able to show a clear abuse of discretion to get an appeal working for you, or to get If judge disqualified, you would have to be able to show those things. So if they didn't, use your proper income, or if they attach arrears to you in a divorce and you were already clearly taking care of your kid, arrears are not mandatory. They're just not. There's I think that's like who said something. There's another case law that refers to that, but it's not mandatory. A lot of these orders that they put out that are less than 50-50 are clear abuse of discretion because we didn't have a separate hearing to show that I was harming my child. You just went off of whatever this woman said. Did your attorney, and most of the time, when men, you have to go back and look at your case. Did your attorney file a motion for discovery for those allegations? Most of them have never done that to see if it was even true. Because then at that point in time, if the judge denies that and said, we're not doing that or ruling it as moot, that's a
you could dismiss him.
Yeah, that's a clear discretion because you don't even care about it being right or wrong. You're just like, whatever.
Yep. Dude, this has to be one of the most informative episodes we've probably ever had on this podcast. This was great.
Man, I appreciate it. I've spent a few hours trying to get myself prepared, making sure I had some information and letting fathers know, listen, you need to start educating yourself and filing lawsuits against the other party because most of the time it's unjust enrichment. It's libel or slander because they said something that's on paper. It's defamation of character. The clear fact that you're on child support is a problem because that's saying that the connotation is you're deadbeat. That's saying. And then the agency itself is simulating the legal process because you haven't gone through all the proper channels to do so. Because bottom line, you were supposed to provide safeguards and you didn't provide any of that stuff. And then there's another thing. There's the DOJ letter that came out last year in April, and it talks about how when they suspend a license or do anything, they're supposed to have an ability to pay hearing, and they never have it. They just say whatever. If they do have it, they'll just say you willfully did something without no evidence. That's what they do. You be in jail, have your license, and they don't care.
Yeah, it's a crazy system. But thank you so much, Dave. I mean, you gave the people a lot of information, a lot of useful information. So that was amazing.
I just wanted to come on here and give out some information because when I saw that attorney come on there and he was just talking crazy, I was like, dude, like, why?
See, I wouldn't know anything about, you know what I mean? Because I'm not like well educated. I'm almost done with my situation, so it's like, now I'm just trying to help out other dads, but I don't know half the things half the things you said today. I was like, oh shit,
bruh,
it's great.
The attorneys are never going to say that to you, and we're just like, oh, you're just playing outrage. Show me in the law where it states I have to do this program. That's it. Bottom line. And if you're using whatever family code that says I deal, show me how that applies to me if I'm already taking care of my child. And if you're married, the presumption is you are already fit because you're married.
Right. Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm a terrible person because my wife wants to get divorced from me. Now I'm beating her up. But she's been with me for 20 years.
Yeah, I love that one. Yeah.
Make it make sense.
Oh, well, Dave, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your time. I would love to have you back again and talk more. I mean, this was incredible. You gave us so much information. So you're helping out dads big time with this one.
That's the goal, man. That is the goal, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem, brother.
Hey, guys. Thanks for watching another episode of Daddy Issues. If you guys could help support the podcast over on patreon.com, under Daddy Issues the Truth. It would mean a lot. We got a lot more content over there. We have Q&As. If you have questions for an attorney and you don't want to go through your attorney, we will try to get those answered for you, so you're not paying, a couple $100 for your attorney to get a quick answer on a question you have. You can even jump on the podcast if you want to share your story. So head on over patreon.com under Daddy Issues the Truth. And thank you guys.
You can hold me down. You can't hold me down. You can't hold me down.